Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrac and Kole, hosted by two nationally published Atlanta interior designers, Joann Kandrac and Kole. These energetic women are also world travelers, charity givers, and bloggers with a wealth of information to share and stories to tell about the interior design world. Okay, now just a warning, this is going to be fun and not too serious. After all, they still do have an interior design business running at full speed.
Hey everybody, it's Kelly and Joann, and thanks for joining us for episode 11 of Inside Design with Kandrac and Kole. This is Tricks of the Trade Part 2. So we had so much to discuss during Part 1 of this series that we thought we'd just keep on talking and sharing some designer tricks we've learned over the years. But first, Joann just got back late last night from Italy, so we have to I want you to just share a little bit before we get started about, I don't know, what do you, like your top 3 like wowie gee whiz moments of your 10 days away from me?
Like all of Italy is wowie gee whiz. I don't even know how I can say. This is my 4th trip, and it just gets better every time. The one thing that I did that was a little out of my comfort zone was we did do the 463 steps that it took to climb the dome. But
in
Florence.
Yes.
So the view from the top is incredible.
I still can't believe you did that. Like, I really don't know if I could do that.
I can't
My
believe I
knees
did
might
it
just
either.
break in half.
Yeah, it was definitely a little scary, but Italy's just, the culture, the sitting outside and eating and watching the people, like all this chit chat is going on all over the place. And I just love the fact that I can understand what everybody's saying. I really used my Italian speaking skills this time, and I wasn't really
so
afraid.
proud of you.
I made a lot of new friends, and I was able to carry on some conversations. Probably the scariest thing is the trains. You really have to know what you're doing when you get to those train stations. It's very stressful.
And you rented a car. I'm so proud again.
We rented a car. You do drive on the same side of the street, so it's not that scary. But it's definitely a little bit of a challenge. I let my husband do it all. I would not do it. Mm-hmm. But we were in Tuscany for most of the time. San Gimignano, which was a place I'd never even heard of, absolutely beautiful. Volterra, Lucca, that was all in Tuscany, and then some time in Pisa with my cousins, and then on to Florence for 2 days, and then Venice for 2.5 days. So it was amazing.
Did you try anything to eat that you like
I
was
did.
new for you? Because you're kind of a wussy.
Wild boar.
Oh.
I didn't order it. My husband did, and I tasted it, and I really, really loved it. I don't think there's a bad thing you can put in your mouth in Italy. Mm-hmm. Everything tastes so good.
And but you don't like wine. So what was your, what'd you do?
Limoncello.
Oh yeah, baby. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I drank a lot of limoncello.
That's so fun.
So yeah, if you've never been to a foreign country, Italy is just, there's just no words. It's great. Figure out a way to go.
Meanwhile, I worked like triple time the whole time she was gone, and she's going to do the same for me when I go to Italy in September. So I wasn't, I'm not going to feel guilty when I go because I just earned my my keep.
I owe her big time.
Yeah, that's why there's 2 of us. All right, so let's talk about the tricks.
Okay, so pet peeve of both of ours, and you will notice it time and time again: shower curtains. And
so we're talking about buying the right size.
Size of things. Yeah. So shower curtains are famous for being like flood pants. Once again, too high. Mm-hmm. Even though the standard length is 72 inches, it's really not standard.
Why do they make them that? They're 72 by 72 no matter where you go. Mm-hmm. I don't get that.
I don't either, because every time you look, they are way above the floor.
Yeah.
And they just don't look very good. So if you can't, having a custom shower curtain made is a little pricey because it's like making a window treatment almost. Mm-hmm. But one of the tricks that we've used
when we do models on a budget,
models and stuff, is buy your standard shower curtain, and whether it could be solid, generally solid, and then we will add fabric to the bottom of it.
Usually 18 to 24 inches. Mm-hmm.
And then the rod should go up pretty high so that the rod's not sitting like just right above the tile. And if you want to break out of your comfort zone, don't use the rods that you get at like Bed Bath & Beyond or whatever. Get a sturdy, more decorative
sometimes
rod.
we do a window treatment rod actually with the inside mount brackets on the inside, just so they are sturdier.
So even if you can find a seamstress, do you think they would do that at the dry cleaners?
I don't know, because when we've done it, we've added the lining just so they're kind of heavier and they look more substantial.
Yeah.
So generally, most of the time, so if you've got let's say you have an 8-foot, let's go short. Let's say you have an 8-foot ceiling. So that's, 96. So you want to leave at least 12 inches at the top if you use this shower a lot to let the steam and everything out. So at a minimum, now you're at 85, 86, so you're adding 72, 86, whatever that is, 14.
And it's just a straight seam. It's just a straight seam.
And then you can always
going
put
across.
like a trim or something fun on the seam line just to make it, a little bit better.
Just find somebody that can sew a straight stitch, basically.
Yeah, but it looks so much better.
Yeah,
oh my
it
gosh.
does make such a difference.
So the next thing that's always wrong when we go to somebody's house is if they have a coverlet on their bed. So not a comforter, not a duvet, but just a thinner coverlet. They're always too short on the sides.
And you can see the box spring with the sheets there, and it's just it just is wrong.
So it's and I think it's because Matlazane coverlets they just generally shrink. And then they're
and sometimes it's the higher mattresses,
that's the
pillow top.
Yes, exactly. So if you can, I mean, we work with a couple bedding companies that sell super sizes of Super King, Super Queen. So there's width-wise, there's a good extra, I think, 10 to 12 inches.
And it just covers that.
On the length. But if you don't want to go that route, what I always look for is, like, for example, like say we're at Home Goods buying some bedding because I love their coverlets, and I have a queen-size bed. A lot of times they'll sell the full dash queen, and that's a little bit smaller than just a queen.
So don't get it.
Or if you can find a California king versus a king, just, or, just always don't put them in the dryer, or put them on really light because they totally shrink. But that just drives me crazy when you can see the box spring.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Art. And I think we talked about this in the last one, was following the 2/3 rule. So if your sofa is
90, say.
Yeah.
Then your art is 60 inches wide. But notoriously, art is just way too small. And that's why we do a lot of galleries, which we talked about in Tricks of the Trade too, because people have all this great, but they're all little pieces. And you go to put them on a big wall and it's just dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your favorite?
Lamp height. I would say 9 out of 10 homes that we go into, the lamps are very short.
Yeah.
And the shades are either very dated or they're dark or they're 60 watt. So at a minimum, go for a 30 to 32 inch height.
That's kind of my favorite for a bedside. Or we've done, we like the ones I just picked yesterday for a client are 30, their bedside lamps, they're 35 tall, but they've got 10-foot ceilings in there.
Yeah. And if if we're talking about a bedroom, if you have a high headboard, you want that lamp to at least come to the height of that.
Or the 2/3 rule could apply there.
Okay.
But then I like the kind of short, squatty lamps on
consoles,
little side tables, little secretary desks. I mean, they all have a place, but just think about the task at hand. But I think for the most part, they're too small because things that are smaller cost less. And so when you're out there shopping without a designer and you're buying retail, you don't, you think, oh, that's a good price. And then you get it home and it's, 23 inches tall and it's got a 60 watt bulb.
Yeah, pay attention to the heights because you don't think about it when you're looking.
Go way bigger than you would think you would, and it'll probably be right.
Go big.
Yeah.
Okay, then another thing, pillows and forms.
Yes.
I mean, speaking of Home Goods, they have some great pillows, but the forms are just not good. Invest in a better pillow form, a down blend. Generally, too, if you have like a 22-inch pillow, go with a 24-inch insert so that it fills it. And
I think on most sofas we do a 20-inch pillow, sometimes a 22 if it has a really high back and it is down so you can chop it and smush it. Otherwise they feel too big. But I generally don't do like 16, 18
16 or 18, no.
Unless it's in maybe an antique smaller scale chair. But
because they look really wimpy on a sofa.
yeah. But even when we go, and pillows are expensive, let me just say. Well, when you get the good form in there, you go to Home Goods or you go to, a local retailer and they might be $30-$40, and then they've got this poly insert that is just so nasty you can't even like fluff the pillow. And then you get the nice ones and they're, $125 to, $200 each, and
they don't get that mushy.
But they last forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So watch your pillow sizes and the insert that's inside them. Okay, everybody's favorite that they need so much help on, no matter, we've been doing this for so long, how to stylize a bookcase.
It's definitely a little bit of an art. And
it takes skill.
Yeah. And with social media and Pinterest and things, there's some great examples of how to do it. But people, I still think, struggle with this. Mm-hmm. And so I would say, take everything off the shelves.
Yes, completely off. Start fresh.
Start completely fresh. 2, either, if you're brave, wallpaper the back or paint it a color. If you're going to wallpaper the back, have it just be something maybe very textured. If you want to do a really cool geometric print, then I would just do kind of solid things in front of it. Like I've seen where they've done like a great colorful abstract wallpaper, and then everything in the shelves is like white pottery pretty. Or whatever. That's really pretty. But if you have a lot of different knickknacks that you want to display that are a little busier, then go with a grass cloth. Looks really pretty behind a bookcase, or doing a color.
Yeah.
So then the heights.
Yes. So I think that's the key is varying heights. I don't like things sitting flat on the shelf. It just looks, unless it's big, it's got something next to it. So we use a ton of books, and we use acrylic stands or discs that kind of just go away.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is if you can, most of the time, a lot of the bookcases have the holes on the side where you can adjust the shelves. And most of the time, we'll take one completely out.
Pretty much every time.
Yeah. Because you don't want them all being like 8 inches high. And all
it's too
the
cluttered.
Same. It's very boring. So to be able to have like
varying
an area
heights.
that's like 18 to 20 inches where you can put something really big. So the key really is bigger
is better.
and impactful, better than smaller.
Yeah. So the other thing that I love is when we get to a client's house, and sometimes we get to a big house and they have like 4 rooms with built-ins. I'm like, oh my God, I'm dying. But what I love is looking at the books that people read. I just
it can tell you a lot about a person.
It does.
For sure.
It just tells their story. And like we were doing that one, that young family, and I loved all their books. I had read so many of them, and they had such varying subjects. So I think that no matter what, books are, they tell your story. Now on hardcover books, we generally take the cover off, which horrified my mother when we did this at her house. But it just looks less cluttered when there's no shininess, and generally the book behind the cover is pretty. If it's like,
sometimes you get a random like weird purple color, be like,
exactly.
oh no.
Yeah, maybe we should keep the cover on that one, but we generally do take the covers off. And then we have we have a guy that wraps books in pretty just white linen, and they're just totally nondescript, but they're so pretty.
Or there's either some that have quotes on them, our favorite thing, like the Steve Jobs quote, or things that just kind of give it a little personality. But it's kind of a combination of the texture, like a basket or something like that, a combination of the shiny and the just
matte.
Interesting. Like even just trying
it's a scale thing, but I would definitely look at Pinterest, magazines, and watch and copy what's happening. Varying heights, and we use a lot of ceramics. We always get new frames for our clients and put their pictures, because inevitably it's a mishmash of frames that came as gifts or whatever, and nothing really goes together. It looks funny, and we make them bigger because
this is
they're
where
too small.
This is where an antique piece really kind of helps, because you don't want everything to be brand new, perfect. Like sometimes a really interesting antique. I remember we had bought this one book holder that was made out of wood that was beautiful, and we just put the family Bible on there, and it was just so.
Well, this is when it's great when people have collections that are in a box in the attic. And we're like, bring that collection out. We got to display it. This is the perfect place.
Even if it is something tiny, if you kind of put it on top of a book with something.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's nice to have some greenery in there. And pretty much the only greenery we use these days are the succulents. They're probably the only real fake thing that looks decent, or something that's been dried.
Yeah.
Preserved.
But not very many of those. Yeah. And then changing the hardware we do all the time.
Oh my God! I'm telling you, every house has the round little knobs on the bottom doors. So a big beefy something there.
Pull on there. Yep.
And then what we just recently did in a house, and it looked really great, is there was a space above the bookcases that was probably about, I don't know, maybe 8 inches high, and we did the kind of sconces that kind of come out and shine down.
Oh, it looks so good.
So great. And at night, it just kind of lit that. So, yeah.
And they had traveled a lot. They had some cool stuff in that bookcase.
Yeah, we'll post a picture of that. It's a Curry and Company sconce that looked amazing.
Yep. So, and you'll see a lot on our website too, in our portfolio, if you need a little guidance on stylizing bookcases. The other thing we do a lot of for our clients, and we do a lot because we do a lot of multifamily design, is beds and dressing beds, and how to kind of arrange. I always ask my clients, do you make your bed in the morning? Do lots of pillows bug you? Are you a hot or cold sleeper? And then we kind of go from there.
Yeah. So I read this quote, and I was going to save it for a quote, but it's so appropriate for right now, that said, you are either in your shoes or in your bed. Invest in both. And it's
for the majority of your day.
For the majority of your day.
So invest in both.
Once in a while. So invest in both. And good sheets and pillows. I mean, I seriously, the highlight of my day is getting into my bed at night.
God. I'm giddy when I get in bed.
When I wake up in the morning and I'm making my bed, I'm like,
man, it's over.
I can't wait to get back in here. Can't wait to get back in here.
We are such losers.
Yeah.
But and it also depends on the height of your headboard. Like, for example, I'm doing a design right now, and it's a big 4-poster, beautiful spindled bed. So it's a king size. So I'm doing 3 27 by 27 inch euros in the back.
Yeah. So those are so those are called, because some people don't really know the lingo. Like Euro shams are generally 27 by 27.
Yeah, they can be even up to 32, but the general size.
Yeah. So your first layer, the back of that, is those 3 on a king bed.
Yes. And then in front of that, I did 2 king shams. And this is all decorative, all in black and white, kind of cool. And then the front layer is a big lumbar. And I think that's the thing that most people do wrong on a king size bed, is there's this itty bitty retail size lumbar. So this one is 26 like wide. It's 15 high.
Oh wow.
Because the king size shams are 21 high by 37 wide. So if you think about it, a king size bed is 60. It's over 60 wide. So you gotta fill it. Yeah.
The other thing is, and I know it's kind of what are we supposed to do with all these pillows? So benches in the front of a bed are a great place to, put those, or trunks, so that you can just kind of lay those there at night.
And then sometimes if we have the client that says, no way, I'm just not dealing with all, that's usually the hubby that says like, then we'll just do like 2 big your sleeper pillows, and then like 2 big king shams in front, and then 1 big lumbar. And maybe that big lumbar is super interesting, or it has a monogram on it or something, and then that's it. But generally, I mean, you gotta dress a bed to an extent, and my favorite is the coverlet, and then the duvet or the comforter folded at the end of the bed, because
the prettiest bed really is a bed that's made.
Because that is so true.
Seriously,
that should be a quote.
Seriously, it's surprising.
Make your bed before you go to work, people.
People, make your beds. You're going to spend the money on this beautiful stuff and make the bed.
That's right. All right, so we have a little bit time left to talk about framing, because we do it so much.
Oh my God. So custom framing can be very expensive, but if you're doing a piece that's really important to you, go to a custom frame shop, like a local frame shop, versus like a big box store. Another thing we love to do is museum glass, if you can afford it.
And it's something that really matters to you, or that's getting a lot of light. But there's no glare. Just don't spray Windex on it.
Yeah. Or UV at a minimum.
At a minimum.
You've got to do the UV.
But we've been doing a lot of cool different stuff because, especially because we do so many galleries, and so
got to mix it up.
Yeah, mixing it up. So we've been doing things, floating in between glass is really pretty, especially if you have a cool paint color behind or you have a wallpaper behind. It doesn't look so great on a white wall necessarily. A lot of acrylic framing you're seeing kind of with the stainless steel studs in the corners. They just add a variation. You can put it right next to a gilded gold frame, and the mix of contemporary and antique looks so good. And then matting in off sizes. Like, for example, I have a Martin Summers piece that I bought from Jillian Bryce that I just love, and I did the frame the matting, where I want to say it's like 2 inches on the top and on the right and left, but as you go down to the bottom of the mat, it's like 10 inches.
Yes.
So it's an off mat. It looks really cool.
I will never forget, we were very lucky enough to have dinner at Vern Yip's home.
Oh gosh.
Through a connection with Fabric Cut. He had done a line of fabric for them. And the art in their home and the things that they have are amazing. But I'll never forget coming to the upstairs where the hallway was. Vern had taken, they were like little, I don't know if they were Polaroids or just those older photos that were very little. Yeah. And he had the mats around them that were like 10 inches. And so
of his family, right?
Of his family.
Yeah.
And so they were all black and white, but they had huge mats and the little pictures, but he had a group of maybe 9 of them. Was so
And were the frames really
beautiful.
Skinny?
Yes, the frames were super skinny. It was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
You can really take something and make it really
mundane and make it killer.
It really amazing with framing.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind. I think it's totally worth it. Yeah. And even if you want to do like half and half, like I just I have this original little Kelly O'Neill abstract piece that I just adore, but it's a really off size because it was in a book of his where he was just kind of painting on the fly. And so I found this cute little frame at HomeGoods. It was just the right color. It was the right size, right depth. It was kind of different looking. So I took it to my local framer, and they floated it on a acid-free black mat and put the UV glass on it so that it would be protected. And it is so freaking cute. But the framing itself cost me $7.99. So I don't do that often, but I was kind of proud of my little DIY because I'm not a DIYer.
Yeah.
So, but I think, we talk a lot about collections and making your home have lots of things that are important to you, and framing is one way to really update things and get it on the wall.
Yeah.
Get it on the wall.
I remember going to a show house, and I thought it was so cool that the lower part of the house was where the mother-in-law lived. And going down the stairs were all kinds of framed stuff, and they were her recipes.
Oh, yeah.
That were, on the back of an envelope, and there was like flour on them, and, but they were
spaghetti
framed.
sauce had spilled.
And so it was just, they were just matted really pretty, probably in just a ready-made frame, but it made it something special. It didn't have to be something expensive, but it was great memories.
Yeah, that's super cool. So I hope that that was helpful for you guys. So I thought I picked this quote today because of Joann coming back from Italy. And I think, when you go away from your average life and you come back, you kind of have this reality check, and you kind of think a little bit about your life, maybe a little clearer than you had because you just came back from a different zone. But so this quote is actually one that's on my bulletin board in my office that I always look at, and it's about practicing mindfulness. And it says this: "This is the ability to pull back and see what's really going on, recenter, then breathe into that uncomfortable place long enough for amazing things to bubble up." And that's from Jonathan Fields.
It is so true, because I can attest to that. I was gone for 10 days, and I was online a little bit, but not much. And there were certain things that I appreciated, like a dryer. I mean, there are some things that in Europe that are just not the same. And so I just felt like, the culture and everything is amazing there, but I don't know that I could live there. I really, really appreciate the comforts of home. And I really kind of missed working. I realize, looking
how much you love me?
How much I love you, and how much I love my life. And it just, it just was a good thing to step back and
there was a quote on Facebook that I read yesterday that said, most anything works if you unplug it and wait 10 seconds before you plug it back in, including yourself. And I thought that was so good, right?
Really good.
Yeah, because that's what you did. You totally unplugged.
I unplugged.
Yep.
So next week, I'm kind of excited because we've been blogging for 9 or...
Oh, gosh, no more. 10 years at least.
10 years. And so we're going to talk about why you should start a blog. They're not a thing of the past. There's some great advantages to it. And we're going to talk about our blog a little bit and all we've learned.
The opportunities that have come from our blog.
The opportunities that have come from it, and just tell you why you should start one.
Yeah. So thanks, everybody. We really appreciate you listening. And keep up with us on Kandrac-Kole.com and all of our social media outlets. And we will talk to you next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Join Joann and Kelly weekly for a lively conversation about trends, travels to industry events, current design projects, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do's and don'ts, product recommendations, and more. Be sure to follow the fun on Facebook. They're on Instagram at Kandrac-Kole. And of course, you've got to visit them online at Kandrac-Kole.com for more information.